everybody, it's Drybear. Another day of Q&A in TF Day. We're just gonna catch up on the Q&A. They've just been going ham answering tons of questions. They're obviously like, this is the most attentive I've seen them on a Q&A. People are really like, there's just a lot of conversation. So let's get caught up on what we missed so far. Well, before we do, the summertime school outfits are coming out tomorrow. So April 30th, you'll be getting access to these. They do cover every female character in the game. So if you're looking at that, they are individual, it seems. I don't know if they're going to package this as one big thing like they did with the swimsuits. We'll see how that goes, but this is, let's see if I can do this. Valby, Bunny. That's Serena, right? No. Is that Inez? That's Glay. Is that Viessa? I don't even know. There's Sharon. That's Haley. That's Freyna. That's Viessa. Which means that this must be Serena, and this is Luna, I guess. But there you go, skins coming in tomorrow. The first one is an interesting one because we've had like the, arcade tuning module in the game that's supposed to mess with the animations, but they were asked like, hey, can we get some better ways to speed up certain attack animations? We already have fire rate increases for weapons, but what about, like animation time for characters? And the response was, we understand your question is asking whether modules that shorten the delay before and after skill motions will be supported. Unfortunately, due to structural limitations, it is difficult to make skill motions faster through modules. For Descendants with this weakness, we plan to address the issue by introducing new skill modules when their ultimate versions are released. For Descendants whose ultimate versions have already been released, we will continue to make improvements through ongoing adjustments. So they're looking to add red mods that either rework the skill or like speed it up in some way or fix those problems with the ultimates. They still have a ton of characters that need ultimate forms, so we'll see kind of how that goes overall. There is definitely some major downside. I would split the speeding up animations category into two problems. There's going to be the animation problem, which is the faster the animation goes, eventually it's going to break. This is true of any game that does modular animation times or cast times or attack times for their abilities. It can get so fast that it just looks wrong, which is kind of unfair to the artist that spent so long making it look good that the gameplay ends up making it look bad. Trust me, I've had that conversation about 10,000 times. And then the other problem is desync, lag, and anything in a networked environment. The faster it gets, the harder it is for the server and the client to agree on what's happening. And so, especially if you make Keelan's dash any faster or anything you change can end up causing network problems if it gets really, really fast. So their response is ultimately no, but we will make kind of targeted changes that aren't scalable through red mods on characters that might need it. Which leads us perfectly into the next question is, okay, great. If the Transcendent modules are there to provide unique new gameplay styles for each of the characters, and they're also meant to have like crazy deviations in the characters, what about the characters right now that have red mods that are either super underperforming or just largely ignored because they're not good enough, which is a perfect segue from the last question. So good job, Q&A question askers. The response is, we consider adjusting the balance of underutilized Transcendent modules as part of the broader Descendant balance work. So it's part of the process. Though granted, they've done a lot less of the changes to red mods. They've done some Luna changes to red mods. Obviously, Ultimate Freyna was one of the big ones that they did that with, reworking old mods that just got completely changed. But in general, they consider that as part of the balancing process. We will continue to adjust Transcendent modules alongside Descendant balance updates. However, we are very sorry that the pace of improvements has not yet met your expectations. I am personally prioritizing balance issues highly in recent development efforts. We will keep working to ensure players can use a wider variety of Transcendent modules. So they're continuing to work on it. I feel like with the declining numbers, they're definitely getting a lot of pressure from Papa Nexon, and I definitely feel a sense of urgency and some apology in the way they're responding to some of these questions, like, we're trying. Next, a quick note, it was asked if there's going to be any change to the Colossus, like Abyss Colossus schedule or strategy, and they say no, they're keeping it the way it is, but look forward to the new Abyss Colossus for Season 2, Episode 2, scheduled to be updated on May 22nd. So if you're wondering when the next update is for TFD, the next content update, May 22nd is what they're targeting. It will have the new Abyss, and I'm sure, this will be the Episode 2, so some new stuff going along with that as well. Next, an interesting suggestion around the marking of components or the actual reactors. This is something that actually I was rebuilding a character today, and I was like, I had to look through all of my components to see, was this the one that I use on my Slayer set? So the question was, like, could we add like a note feature, or could you expand the icon labeling system for items in your inventory? So you could say, like, this is my farming one, and this is my one that I use for ability characters, and this is what I use for that. Their response is adding a note feature. It's not easy to implement, and they understand why you might be requesting it. Personally, the Director Jooms, marks a components and reactors with A, if their options are fully enhanced, B, if they have good options, C, if only one or two of the options is viable, and D, if it's storage and you don't need them right now. That's his solution, but I do agree it would be nice if you had like a gun icon and a Descendant icon, just at least more icons, at least to help separate those, because I feel like A, B, C, D, and then the four like symbols from a deck of cards. I feel like those are very generic, and something a little bit more TFD would be nice in that front, but let me know what you think. Next is a juicy question that I think is on a lot of people's minds, especially people that are taking a break from TFD or have quit the game at the current state. But the question was, creating engaging content must be hard in the current power creep. If the new characters keep coming out, significantly outclassing previous characters, and that trend continues, it's going to be hard to make meaningful content, because it's really just going to be how fast can the newest character kill that content, basically. So they asked, will we keep getting power crept, and what is the plan going forward with new Descendants and ultimate weapons? So Director Jooms responds, we are taking this issue very seriously and have made it one of our top priorities. As mentioned, we will strive to release new Descendants and weapons in line with proper balance. I feel like this is kind of like a nothing saying. It's like saying the mailman, you know, promises to deliver the mail, or when you go to a restaurant and order food, they promise to make it. It's like, yeah, of course you want it to be balanced. Of course you want it to be good. Of course you want it to be enjoyable. You know, it's one of those things like, of course they're going to say that kind of thing. Although this may reduce the short-term hype of releasing overpowered content, we believe it is necessary decision for the long term. The way he phrased that makes me think that they were doing it 100% on purpose, and they very much believe that the new character being overpowered is good for the experience of playing the new character, because even though it's going to hurt the short-term hype of releasing overpowered content, we believe it is necessary to keep them balanced for the long term. Additionally, we have prepared a separate improvement roadmap to narrow the performance gap between firearm dealers and skill, so we'll see how that goes. That one's coming up. We believe that addressing the performance gap between Descendants must come first in order to properly design higher level content. It's true. If you have a Serena and you have a Eugen, it is very hard to make a PvE encounter that challenges Eugen that will also challenge Serena, you know what I mean? So like there's definitely a big divide there. We also feel deep regret and frustration when we see new content like deep strike intercept battles being cleared in just 1 second. So I guess they did not like that they released the new Abyss Colossi, and Serena walked out and one-shot it in under a second and then walked away. We will do our best to tackle these issues step by step, from balance adjustments to content difficulty design. So they're working on it, is their response. Next is another great question, and something that was very honest, and I'm glad they responded to this one. So this question was, dear developers of TFD, I love the game, but you need to take a different approach to the game if you want it to become successful in the long run. They mentioned, you know, balance changes, new content updates, you know, quality of content, and also how the content overlaps and interacts with each other. And the response is, we deeply empathize with your feedback regarding the balance between characters, weapons, and content. However, we also believe that players do not expect previously easy content to simply become more difficult after character balance adjustments. In order to release higher level content with an appropriate level of difficulty, we first need to adjust the balance between Descendants and weapons. Specifically, details about our adjustment plans can be found in the pinned message. Based on these balance adjustments, we are preparing a new piece of content for Season 3 called Axiom Planes. We've covered this before. Aiming to deliver a challenging yet engaging combat experience, we will continue working step by step to correct the current imbalance so you can enjoy more exciting and challenging content in the future. I think what they really need is they really need some overlapping content. So content that can happen in the open world and, you know, maybe new content that encourages you to do open world missions, and then having that content overlap and trigger with different things like that. I think ARPGs are a great example of this, just showing how much that can actually impact the variety that you experience. I feel like a lot of this one-off individual game mode content that you farm a bunch over and over and over and over and over and over and over until you get what you need and then you never play it again, I think is not helping them increase the amount of playable content in the future. Just having more interplay between those can be really nice. They could even do like a steel path thing where they make like a super hard, crazy high end game mode where you have to clear all the open areas, and there's like, while you're on this steel path mode, Colossus can appear in the field like people have been asking for, as long as they don't, you know, as long as that performs and doesn't lag and that sort of thing. But I think they need to find ways to allow the content to communicate and collaborate with one another so that that can be a multiplicative factor of content rather than just here's the new dungeon that you do over and over and over this patch, and then when you're done, you go play something else. Next, they were asked about akimbo or dual wield. This comes up every now and then, as a lot of people do want to be able, especially to use two pistols, you know, two masterpieces or two last daggers, or maybe a masterpiece and a last dagger or something. The director responds with, we've imagined ideas like this. What if a Descendant could duplicate their weapon and shoot in akimbo style? So you would have one weapon equipped, and then you'll be able to switch to a dual wield or two-handed mode, which brings out a second one if it's dual wield compatible, and you'll be able to use it. But it seems, they say it seems difficult to make that happen anytime soon, which probably means maybe not for a very long time, if ever. Next, there was a question asked a couple days ago that we covered here on the channel. The people asking like, hey, can we get more target farming options for things like catalyst blueprints or energy activators, especially if you're a veteran player? It's perfectly fine when you're a new player and you have nothing farmed to go farm amorphous and open them, because pretty much everything you get from the amorphous is going to be useful. However, when you're a veteran player and you have all the weapons maxed and all the characters maxed, when you have to go farm more catalysts to make new builds, you're getting a catalyst like 1 every 10 amorphous you open, and then the other 9 to 15 times is complete junk because you don't need it. So there's been a question of like, can we make farming the critical elements easier and more straightforward for people that already have everything sorted out as a veteran player? And their response was, we are currently exploring solutions to the growing fragmentation of farming and opening locations as the types of amorphous materials increase. We believe a majority improvement to the farming loop is necessary, and I think every player agrees with this. The idea of allowing the exchange of continued amorphous materials is very interesting. While not be a fundamental farming loop improvement, it would certainly help players complete their collection by filling in missing amorphous materials. It's kind of like a side grade to that, where you could trade in amorphous you don't need for some that you do. It doesn't help the target farming in general, but it is kind of a cool idea, and they're writing it down for future. And that's what I got for today's TFD update with the Q&A. It is still ongoing. These guys are going so hard on this. They want to make sure they get all the questions answered. So we'll continue covering it until the Q&A is closed and the devs are no longer responding. So I'll see you guys on the morrow. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.